this just makes too much sense. You don't pick a guy of his caliber unless he is overwhelmed with the defensive playbook, which we do not expect. Like, why are we going to sit here and start a guy who has never been a starter on a bad defense? Some guys are just special teamers. Who is set to take over for Kazir White? That is the $1 million question as we continue our position preview breakdown here on PHNX Cardinals. This time looking at off-ball linebacker Steve Keim's ex, his favorite. We're diving into it right now, Brack. And first, before we make any bold predictions, give us the lay of the land, how things stand right now.
As it stands right now, I mean, you talk about who's the leader in that room. I think it's just Mack Wilson Sr. step on up. You got Mack Wilson Sr., and then you got Cody Simon that we're projecting right now as the starting off-ball linebacker next to Mack Wilson. In the mix for that, Akeem Davis-Gaither, ADG. Owen Papo, kind of a leftover, one of the first from the first draft class. You got Mykal Walker, who's primarily a special teamer, came over from Washington, and then a holdover from the end of last year's 53-man roster. Actually, the brother of Zay Jones, Vi Jones. Got a new coach to this position group, taking over for Sam Cephas, who left to take over the DC job at Virginia Tech. You got Christian Garcia, who comes over from the Dallas Cowboys organization, and you're trying to make up for the loss of both Kazir White and Chris Barnes. Chris Barnes played, not an insignificant amount of snaps for this organization the last 2 years. I mean, he's seen some he saw a steady playing time in back-to-back seasons for the Cards.
And apologies, I was combining Cody Simon and Kazir White's names into Cody White. So I apologize for that.
When did you do that?
I don't know. Earlier, people are blowing me grief for it. That's what the offseason is for. We're sharpening our tools, friends. We are making a prediction here. Bo and I had a conversation, not that anybody cares, before the show today. Bo and I are in lockstep. We think Cody Simon, a fourth rounder, a rookie from Ohio State that played his best football against the best teams in the country of college football en route to a championship last year, will overtake a journeyman Bengals backup with respect to Akeem Davis-Gaither. Akeem Davis-Gaither as a backup and a special teamer, I think makes more sense than to try to fit him in a position that he has not done during his tenure. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is another Mack Wilson Sr., because a lot of us saw that. And it's like, this guy's been up and down and he's played special teams, right? And the Cardinals found a way. So if they start Akeem Davis-Gaither, like, who am I to push back on that? You draft Cody Simon in the fourth round to start for you, whether it's during training camp, whether it's midseason. You also have an upside with him that doesn't exist with the other guys that we're going to discuss, sans Mack Wilson Sr. You've got an upside of a guy that can come in and be your next Jordan Hicks, that can come and be a next Carlos Dansby-esque focal point at the position that you have not drafted and developed since Carlos Dansby. So again, they're not the same players. I'm not comparing them physically, but the Cardinals need a stalwart of that. They need their own Fred Warner that was drafted and developed by this franchise. The Cardinals under Gannon and Rollis, dating back to their time in Philly, almost have an unquestioned resume of developing off-ball linebackers. It's unbelievable.
It really is. It's so impressive. Gannon and Rollis teaming up to take a guy like TJ Edwards, undrafted out of Wisconsin, a position switch for Kazir White out of West Virginia, and coming off of, starting his career in Los Angeles with the Chargers, and turning those guys into the duo that they were during the Super Bowl run, and then Kazir having the success that he did the last two seasons. But, when you're really kind of taking a closer look at the Simon versus, Akeem Davis-Gaither debate or position battle, it's like Akeem Davis-Gaither has never played over 50% of the snaps at the NFL level in any given season on the defensive side of the football.
How many percent?
He's never played over 50% of the defensive snaps in any given season. And this for the Bengals defense, the last, he's been in the league 5 years. So he's been given opportunities. He started to see starts consistently at the end of the season last year due to an injury. And I think that there was some confidence that he can be the guy. He could start for them at linebacker. And I think that was the original plan, or just placeholder during free agency. But when Cody Simon, the opportunity to draft him in the fourth round, presented itself, I think that those those plans changed, because you can make the case that Akeem Davis-Gaither has more experience at the NFL level, but Cody Simon played a ton of college football, and he played at the highest level. He played each and every one of his seasons at Ohio State. He played 57 total games for the Buckeyes, and he was trending, absolutely just playing out of his mind football until the end. Defensive player of the game in the national championship. If you have any kind of skepticism as far as can he play, turn on the tape from Oregon. He was a man possessed out there. We're talking 11 tackles, 3 for a loss, 2 sacks, pass defense. He can do it all. They're both kind of hybrid guys. They can kind of kick in and get some pressure there. But I just think Cody Simon was maybe a bit of a late bloomer, but he did it at Ohio State, and he did it at the absolute highest level before he was drafted in the league.
Yeah, he was a 4-time academic All Big Ten player, so he can digest, hopefully, the defensive playbook for the Cardinals. 10 career sacks, a pick, 23 tackles for loss. Again, as you mentioned, 58 games played and then 30 as a starter. So almost 3 years consistently playing deep into, December football and college football. And again, like physically looks the part, right? He's 6'2", just under, 235 pounds. And for me, this is an easy decision. Go with the guy with the bigger upside. And I would also say, Bo, like the Cardinals schedule allows for this. You play New Orleans, you play Carolina, you play Tennessee and Indianapolis early. It's like you can afford some mistakes learning on the fly. What did Jonathan Gannon say? You get better by playing, right? And yes, you want to put your best 11 out there defensively, and I would argue he's a better pure athlete right now at the position, but if he makes a couple mistakes, you should have enough, firepower to make up for it defensively. What did the LA Rams do last year? Of course, they're going to play their rookies early because they were their top draft picks, but you saw Jared Verse and Braden Fisk get better and better over the season to the point where they started 1-4. The Cardinals boat raced them. Jared Verse couldn't bring down Kyler Murray in week 2. And at the end of the year, they were maybe the best defense in the NFL. I want the Cardinals, and I think they will, to take that approach this year. I want these young players playing a lot so that, there's a rookie wall that maybe they'll hit, but by Thanksgiving, we're not even thinking about Cody Simon, the rookie. We're thinking about Cody Simon, blue chipper and cornerstone piece of this defense for years to come.
They talk jokingly that Cody Simon's going to be a future president of the United States. Like that's how kind of polished, that's how impressive this kid is, how he's not just a great athlete, he's a communicator on and off the field. And, overall, the position, though, like they got so much more athletic. Like Akeem Davis-Gaither got his opportunities a lot with Cincinnati against Baltimore, who they would play twice, and he would be in there to kind of spy Lamar Jackson. He would get most of his opportunities were carved out against like running quarterbacks. He can do that. I think Cody Simon is just as athletic. They, like I said, both kind of hybrid roles, and that's kind of an upgrade over who you saw guys who were more veterans in this league in Kazir and Chris Barnes. Like I think you're going to see a little bit extra juice at that position. Maybe not like the hitting the crap out of him. Like Kazir White could lay some wood, man. Sure. Like that was great. But I think, there's these guys are sure tacklers, and they're gonna give their best chance at this. Like you look at the green dot thing as well. Like Akeem Davis-Gaither wore it at times with Cincinnati. I think Cody Simon was wearing it full time, which was a new addition to college football all last season.
Cody Simon is 23 years old. Will Johnson is 22 years old. Walter Nolan is 21. Like that's what, welcome to the NFL. That's what wins, right? Like it's unbelievable. And I would still be pro the team if they brought him back before the draft, like Kazir White doesn't have a job. It's July 10th. That's nuts. Now I think he'll get signed during camp. When people look at their linebacking core, they're like, "Jeez, we need a player of his caliber." But you reach a certain age in the NFL, unless you on offensive line, you can play into your 30s, and quarterback and some of these other positions. Like if you're hitting your late 20s, 28, 29, like that's it. That's it for you because it's a half a step in this league. It's why it's my favorite league. It's the league we are fortunate we get to cover. We want to cover because the draft is almost as plug and play as possible. You don't have to wait in the minor leagues. You're not in some G League, D League developmental system. It's like Cody Simon, I watched him dominate Ohio State, and I'm going to watch him hopefully dominate State Farm Stadium this year. So the more we thought about it, we're going to continue to talk about it during training camp as we preview our training camp battles in the coming weeks. Like, the more we thought about it, Bo, it's just like, this just makes too much sense. You don't pick a guy of his caliber unless he is overwhelmed with the defensive playbook, which we do not expect. Like, why are we going to sit here and start a guy who has never been a starter on a bad defense that was an afterthought in Cincy? And again, it sounds like I'm knocking the person. I'm not, but it just, some guys are just special teamers. It's like how I felt about Dennis Starr. Some guys are just backups. Some guys are supposed to cover kicks, right? Cody Simon is a starting caliber linebacker in the NFL. That's what he projects to be.
And I think that there could be some packages where, maybe Mac Wilson isn't the guy on the field. Like,
right.
How did the Cardinals struggle? Who'd they struggle against the most last year? Quarterbacks that could get out and run.
That could move.
Team Davis Gaither has shown the ability to slow that down after playing in the AFC North for as long as he did. I think he's still going to have a role on this team. And we saw, like we mentioned with Barnes, like he saw significant snaps, even though he wasn't ever a starter on this team. So you look at those three guys, and I think that's going to be your linebacking core. If you're looking at the two of them, that's where we're going with a little bit of a bold pick, saying that Simon comes in from Ohio State immediately and takes a hold of it. But I think it's going to be like when we start talking about practice and practice reports, once they hit the grass, in 2 weeks from now, I think you'll probably see Akeem Davis Gaither start this as the guy out there. And then Cody Simon's going to have to kind of earn it, and you'll see it kind of flip a little bit by the time they start playing games.